Shall we wait for some time or commence? No, better, madam, better you take some. Finish? No, finish. 5 minutes we can afford to wait. Hello. Coming. Good afternoon to all of you. Friends, we have few highlights for today's press conference. Let me start with the plight of a BSF soldier, Tej Bahadur. He complained of the mismanagement with regard to the food supply, the quality of the food, and promptly we uploaded it. The superiors found fault with that. He was very much harassed, and I am told that he had gone incommunicado and nobody could tell his whereabouts. She was asked his wife in a habeas corpus plea. Her name is Sharmila. Said she was worried about his safety as she has not been able to contact him for the past 3 days. It was filed in the Delhi High Court. She pleaded that her husband to be produced before the court. The short story, it reflects the morale of the defense forces, which is depleting day by day with such incidents. Maybe that BSF must have come out with some clippings with regard to the calls made by him. But even then, habeas corpus petition is still pending. It's a most unfortunate story which reflects how the army has been managed, how they have not been properly supplied with the rations, uniforms, etc. In addition to that, in the budget which is presented by the Honorable Finance Minister, reflects the sad affair of the allocations to the defense sector. They have surrendered 7,000 crore of capital budget for 2016-17, which underlies the structural incapability to spend even the inadequate allocation. I don't know whether the defense minister is doing his job or not. Except thumping their own chests, they don't do anything to strengthen the capabilities of the establishment. India faces conventional war challenges from Pakistan's F-116s and rapidly modernizing Chinese Air Force. The capital outlays decreased in the fiscal year 17-18 to 10.5 billion. That means 5% decrease from the previous year. This reflects how seriously they have taken the surgical strike, which they claim that the first in kind, which is not true. I think this will decelerate India's military modernization and preparedness. There are a lot of confusions because GST, they say from 1st July we will launch GST. Today you must have found sound news with regard to the goods and services tax network, which rejected CAG's request to name auditor and do extra audit. This is a sad affair, sad reflection with regard to the preparedness to launch the GST. You must have seen the budget, and it is known to everybody the VAT income of all the states have declined very badly. This is first because of the demonetization and various other factors. Naturally, as far as the GST is concerned, it is said by almost all the economists that another 2-3 years GST will be decelerating in all the states. Of course, the first point of time, the center takes away the cream of the resources from the GST, but at the second and third, stages, the transaction take place, the states will be badly hit. This has not been envisioned by the finance minister. No provision whatsoever has been made in the present budget for meeting such challenges, and striking features have not been responded to by the present budget. That means they are most sensitive, even for implementing a very important enactment like GST, which was brought by us. It is, if at all any blame should go, it is to the present government, with their delayed implementation of GST for more than 3 years. On the investment side, which can definitely create jobs. Now there is absolutely, I can say, there is a jobless economy in this country. Last 3 years. Investment side is concerned, CMI, which is the authenticating agency, estimated that gross fixed capital formation, a key indicator of investment demand in the economy, will contract by 2% by 2016-17, offer increasingly by 6.1% in 2016. The official statistics department has estimated that investment demand will contract by 0 to 2% in 2016-17. The question is, will budget 2017 bring back growth, revive the animal spirits of investors? This is unlikely to do so. CMI again quoted that between 2002-12, 10 years, investment went up by 6 times, from 15 lakh crore to 100 lakh crore. From 2012 till today, that is the first, this is month, it remained static at 100 lakh crore. That means to say, of course, there was a lot of pressure on the CMI to revise their estimate, but they refuse to do it because they cannot do it just on the tunes of the government. And this is the sad affair. They say that this is the legacy. The legacy that they could not turn even 1 inch, up with regard to the investment. Forget, they could not even retain the status quo. Present NDA government could not do anything to push it further. Insofar as the GDP is concerned, you all know that 1% less GDP means 1,50,000 crores less. That kind of a money is taken up. Another 2-3 years because of the demonetization and many other anti-development actions taken by the present government, I think there will be loss of a very heavy sum. Ultimately 2-3% GDP will be less. Just imagine, to what extent our income will come down. They give much emphasis on the fiscal consolidation. And 2016-17, they have estimated that fiscal deficit will be 3.54% GDP. And if you go through the document, I have gone through the document, there is a mistake in the value printed in budget at a glance, which says 3.2%. When you do the division, arithmetical calculation, you see it is 3.54%. This is in January calculation. And another up to March, it will reach up to 4%. That means they are so that so-called credible calculation or a credible fiscal consolidation is only pack of cards. It has just collapsed. The agriculture budget is concerned, it's again a very sad story. 3 continuous years there have been drought. They have not done anything to come to the rescue of the farmers, like waiver of loans, which we had done it in 2008, 72,000 crores waiver, our UPA government, UPA 2 had done. And they, fortunately, season is good. But this time, the drought is declared artificially by Sri Narendra Modi and the NDA government. This is a drought created, artificial drought created by them. And there is nothing to reform the food and fertilizer subsidies, totaling more than 2.15 lakhs crore. The spending bills are about 80,000 crores. And doubling of farmers' income by 2022, just a chimera and mere rhetoric. And it cannot happen, because if you want to double the income, it is not 4.1% growth in agriculture. The growth should be at 9%, which is impossible. No country can achieve. Forget about our own country. And there is no reforms in agriculture. Rural, one important program which provides job for the rural people is Mahatma Gandhi, MG NREGS, guarantee program, where only 86% of the households that demanded employment under Manrega were provided employment 2016-17, and lowest in the last 5 years. They say we made very big allocation on the Manrega. But whereas percentage wise, with regard to the demand made, it is the lowest in the last 5 years. No vision for employment and job creation in budget 2017. As far as increased allocation for Manrega is concerned, only 1% over 2016-17. The allocation for this scheme should be demand driven. It's not an act itself. It's not as if the allocation is made. It is a demand driven program, and has to thus correspondingly increase in greater proportion year to year as the people pick up the program with greater consciousness. And these are all the few things, and even in scientific research they have totally neglected it. There is a big talk on the question of legacy. When I spoke while initiating debate on budget, I spoke, I gave up the figures that what is the legacy you found in NPA. I said you start 31/3/2014, it was 4.5%. That is the percentage of gross advances. 31/3/2015, it was 4.6%. 31/3/2016, 7.8%. 31/12/2016, it is 91.1%. Look at the increase. They could not control it. They could not regulate it. In fact, the non-performing assets went on. They say that, no, it is because you granted the loan, it has come out like that. But do you know what has happened? The loan growth, what is the loan growth today on all sectors put together? It is 3-decadal low in this country. 30 years low. What was there in 30 years growth? We have been driven back to that. Loan, it is not only the corporate sector, everybody. And only answer which even Mr. Rangarajan, famous economist, former governor of Reserve Bank, said that it is only the recapitalization which can rescue the banks. Last 2-3 years they gave 25,000 crores. This year they provided only 10,000 crores, which is a peanut. As against about 2.5 lakh recapitalization, which has. I think they should forget everything else but concentrate on banks. Building these banks, which have been dynamic, which has been serving the people, both the rural area and also the other areas. Then what is the point in just making rhetoric? Jan Dhan program, many other programs. Unless you are in a position to, make these banks, and banks have been totally, now the kind of chairmen, kind of managing directors who have been appointed to the banks. Even a man who is unfit to be in a general manager of a nationalized bank is fit to be one of the 5 top banks, he becomes the managing director and the chairman. This is the kind of, central bank has to regulate. But there are no regional heads for any of the state bank regional boards. Even I think there are only 3 or 4 independent directors have been appointed to the bank. They have incapacitated the regulator. They have incapacitated the bankers. And the industries are suffering. That is how the lowest. How do they, the day will come, when now they think that there is some money which is forcibly, coercedly, acquired by the banks because of the demonetization. Now why they are not removing the restriction? Because they know that, there may be a run on the banks. Even the worst of the time in the world economy, 2008 and 9, none of the banks closed. None of the banks were incapacitated. They continued to lend. But for the first time, they are not in a position to lend, and banks' position has become worst, and no regulations, no control, and they thought, if we go on posting the people with a negative attitude to the management of the banks, including the person, some regulators they have created. Of course, they found Mr. Vinod Rai as a very positive, vibrating. He always puts the caste back. Such people are heading some of the bureaus. And that's why every day you can find negative growth in the bank. And banking system itself has become, forget about the NPA. Banking system itself undoubtedly is under great stress. And they should resolve it totally. They raise their hands, no, it is your legacy, so allow the banks to close. It is our legacy to nationalize bank, so you close it. They want to restart. Start with the open slate. I think they are going to create biggest crime against the banking system in this country. And cleaning up the bank balance sheets, they cannot do anything. And over a dozen state-owned banks accounting for 40% of the total loans. And this is the fate of the banks. And I must tell you, even an emerging market barring Russia and higher than the peak level seen in Korea at the height of the Asian crisis, we could keep our banks intact. But that's not happening today. And with the lowest, on take. I can tell you one example, how these people are managing the public sector. How they are managing the oil and gas sector, where I had something to deal with that in my, as a minister. I must tell you one example. Our idea was, our roadmap was to make this country self-sufficient, create our own CBM gas, creating our own shale gas, and go for a big exploration, except the, that Bombay High, many of the sectors are Kaveri Basin, Godavari Basin. There are plenty of, tons of oil which is available. Do you know what I can give you a picture to you. Crude oil MMT, 2012-13, it was 37.862. Today, it has been reduced to 37.46. And natural gas BCM, from 40.679 MMT, it has been reduced to 35.280. Our own production has very steeply come down. Crude oil import has increased rapidly in 2015-16, 16-17. I am telling you, the crude import MMT 2012-13, 184, 795. It was coming down day by day. And now it is 199.222. That means, to that extent, you have to earn to pay the others for the oil. This is the fate. Import bill has been reduced because of the lower, they could have taken advantage. During our UPA 2 regime, we have constructed 3 caverns, that is caves, to store crude oil. One in Padur in Udupi district, another in the Mangalore district, another cavern, and third one was in Visakhapatnam. We had completed the work. It was commissioned, but they are not taken. Even now they have not filled up those caverns, which was built. Perhaps this was the golden opportunity because the crude oil price is very much down. They could have tackled this, but they are not done. So import bill is going up day by day. So even with regard to the earnings are concerned, there is no reinvestment from their own sector. For example, excise duty is concerned. In 2012-13, it was 73,310 crore, whereas in 15-16, that is 1,78,591 crore. The entire money goes not to the oil sector for exploration or R&D. It gets back to the coffer of the government. And ultimately the excise duties, all this is diverted to other sectors. I'm just telling you, this is the kind of a economy which they are building it up. And as I told you earlier, it's an economy, a jobless growth track, absolutely. And million young people either enter the job market every month. That has not been factored. And in fact, the currently 20 different ministries run 70 different skill related programs. Absolutely no going forward. And the sectors where the job growth have been totally neglected. With regard to the cashless society, I am telling you, we have very good details. Not even 3% is the digital economy. Not even 3% as on today. And they think that, within 20 days, within 50 days, they can, make this country a cashless society by digitized bank within, I think, month or two. 3%. We have this evidence from the Reserve Bank of India, we have this evidence from the secretaries of the Finance Department. With the 3%, how can you do it? 93% money they have sucked without any, putting the money back. And, how can they, optical fiber network? National Optical Fiber Network project, which was renamed as BharatNet in 2015, aimed to target 1 lakh Gram Panchayats by March 31st, 2015, with the overall objective of providing bandwidth of 100 Mbps in all the estimated 2.5 lakh GPS. And because of the poor planning, they lost the deadline of 3 years. Now seeks to be completed by December 2018, in spite of rupees 10,000 crores allocation to the Bharat network. Do you think that it is possible with 10,000 crores to cover such a big area? As of December 4th, 2016, only 26% of the Gram Panchayats have been laid with optical fiber. Where is the provision in the budget? No money has been provided. And with optical fiber, and only 6% have been GPO1 and integrated and tested. Even in the villages that were connected to the network, the average broadband speed was found to be half of what the government had promised. This kind of infirmity in the systems around the country, I don't know whether they are in here or somewhere else. But anyway, they are not rooted very much in the soil of this country. This government has no institutional memory. They don't have institutional experience, and they don't have institutional network to achieve what they say. So it's most unfortunate today that we are in this country where everywhere they are failing it. Everywhere they are failing, and it's only rhetoric, nothing but rhetoric. There are no performance altogether. I have illustrated only a few sectors so that you can just see the samples for a proper whole story. Thank you. Any questions? No, no, we have taken a stand that, the Prime Minister has to apologize. Prime Minister has to render apology to our former Prime Minister. The kind of language he has used, he forgets that he will, tomorrow he will be an ex-PM. And, the kind of insult is the insult to the country, insults to the office. And I'm sorry that, this kind of a language could be, I think because he has become desperate in the elections, in the present elections, having completed the desperate rally and desperate, campaign, he comes back to the parliament. You should have given charge to somebody else, instead of uttering all sorts of desperate words on the floor of the House. Our floor of the House is very precious. He has, when he entered the parliament, what a theatrical drama he has played. He touched the earth, saying that, he gives that kind of a sanctity. And today what is happening is kicking the very same house where, he really, wanted to revere it. This is what is happening. Pardon? You will also see what will happen next when we meet in the session. No, we have already gone on record saying that we are going to boycott unless he apologizes, tenders apology. Tamil Nadu is concerned, it's an internal affair of the AIDMK. But we want the governor to act in accordance with the constitutional provisions and also Supreme Court framework which has been set out and illustrated in Bombay case. I think they have to go by strict letter of law. Thank you. Water.